So we're going to go over, is my business built for 2021 and beyond? It's a tough question. A lot of people ask, wondering why, what's going on? Where are we headed? How are we going to do the next things we need to do? Where's the business going from here? How am I going to be relevant in the future? So today I wanted to take a moment before we really build up the business as we go through this, what I call the great awakening stages, trying to just bring some awareness to some of the things that are going on in business that some people may object to. But the truth is we have no choice but to either adhere to what's going on or fall to the background. Unfortunately, over the next few months, over the next few years here, we have a great adjustment going on as well as a pandemic, which means certain businesses are getting hit harder than others. And it's the ones that were kind of weak on their heels or in a tough position business wise for the current climate that are going to suffer the most. So doing the adjustments you can, where you can, when you can, and also making decisions, whether they be tough or not, is going to be necessary. So I'm your host, Shawn Patrick Moloney. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm thankful to have the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce have me do this for you guys. So one of the things that I want to start with is a quote. The only thing that is constant is change, and that's by a guy, Heraclitus. I'm gonna probably butcher that name, but anyways, that's something that a lot of people are uncomfortable with. Don't really have the words to the whys on that, other than that you have to work on becoming comfortable with change. Ultimately in life as a business owner, there's going to be constantly change because new inventions, new products, new competitors, new everything comes up. Everything from a bad review online to whatever can totally throw you into a tail loop where you have to make change right away and you have to get on it because the world works faster than ever. So change is happening faster than ever. So it's really important to acknowledge change and to understand that it's okay. It's not the worst thing ever. You can take your time to change, but if you do, you're going to end up behind, especially in the modern day world where technology has taken over in certain fashions and everyone's working quicker than ever. So, question a lot of people are asking is, what does the future look like? The truth is, nobody truly knows what the future looks like, but we know some indicators that show us at least some trends that are coming up. And one of the things that's trending right now is the idea of work from home workforces, the idea of not going to big, huge buildings, not just because of COVID, but because of the cost of them, commuting less, all these different things. We see more energy efficiency, we see people more health conscious, so we see a different thing, and that's part of the great awakening of human beings. I know a lot of people have a different mindset of, some problems that certain people have or things that are going on. But the truth is, as people evolve, they're getting smarter, they're getting healthier, they're getting all this. People may not be treating themselves with healthy manners, some people, of course, but people are becoming more aware, whether it be in my industry of real estate, when it's radon gas or other things like that, people are a little more aware that, hey, that might have caused cancer or whatever they've learned through research versus back in time, you just got the sickness. Now we know it's COVID-19 because we're able to actually name it. So the future looks like a more scientific, more number oriented, more fast paced computing type world. And it's a matter of how do you fit in and how do you tool your business to fit in with the future versus trying to do what's been done in the past. And it's just being innovative. Innovation is the key to everything in business. When you're innovative and you are continuing to go through change, you're going to see growth. So adapting to the digital era. This one here is absolutely crucial. There are a lot of people that try to fight it. And the problem with fighting technology is the rapid speed of its development. If I take somebody who's used a computer their whole life and I give them just a new program, they usually take it on pretty well. But if I have a person that hasn't used a computer in the past 10 years and I put them on, it's nearly impossible to catch them up because I can't just assume anything. There's no assumptions. I need to actually take their mouse, click file, drop down to save and hit that. And then also explain command keys and then also explain how a keyboard works. So you can see that in the technology gap era, you have to be very careful. So video conferencing, something again is as a real estate broker as well as a consultant, I use video conferencing all the time. Even without that job, just doing my job, I guess you'd call it like CEO or a broker or a boss or owner or all these different terms that I end up having to work under different hats. I collaborate with my people all day long on video call, on screen share, all that. You have to be willing to do it. We talk with clients now. Sometimes we even video conference people to showings of homes. This is the new world. This is people are busy. There's no reason to drive a car from here to there to do it. We can talk together right here. We can see each other. We can control each other's computer screens. We can do so much. And I know some people might be sitting here listening today going, well, geez, this is so much. Well, I'm speaking to you. I'm saying today is the day to start because it doesn't get any easier tomorrow. One thing at a time, learn the core principles of computing. If you're not aware of it, maybe didn't go over and take some classes. There's a lot of great classes available right online. There's a lot of great classes if you're not even at that level over at the community colleges. There's night courses. There's all sorts of things available, state-run things. There's things that are provided by local boards in all sorts of industries. So just getting involved because video conferencing and those are here. Electronic signatures, again, saving that time, money, and energy of going out to people, whether it be that you're going to be installing somebody's irrigation system and you need them to sign the contract to you are going to be selling their home and you need them to sign a contract. Electronic signatures are a valid form of signature and they save a lot of time and energy. They also give you less ability for the person to get sidetracked in between when you told them it's going to be there and you mailed it and they mail it back. Electronic signature, while they're still hot on the sale, is right there so that they get everything done. Drop shipping. People who are running big places and holding tons of inventory in a fast-paced world where you're constantly changing and revolving and everything's new and tomorrow someone can go viral and they want that stuff instead of this stuff. You have to be careful holding inventory in the modern day world, but also the costs of it and the cost of the shipping. So drop shipping is a great method. Drop shipping is where you have companies that are willing to sell their product through you and they ship it for you with your labels, your packaging, or with their labels, depending on the level you take it to. But drop shipping is the future for a lot of different businesses where certain businesses are still trying to do all their own logistics, which can be very, very expensive, excluding the cost of trucks. Fractional ownership. Fractional ownership concepts are everywhere. It's everything from the WeWorks all the way out to the fact that in certain parts of the country, Staples has commercial kitchens behind the scenes, and they rent those out to different people, everything from bakeries to whatever. It's that ability to take fractionally and have people pay rents or pay fractional ownership costs. You see it with the Turo cars. You see it with the rentals of Airbnbs. It's like you're taking little bits and pieces of things. I think you'll see in the future things like expensive piece of equipment you'll end up being able to. At one point, they were considered, rental halls, but now people are starting to realize that I own this expensive piece of equipment. It just sits in my house. If I had something like an Uber or an Airbnb to catch me with those other people, I could use somebody else's piece of equipment when they don't need it, and I could pay them for it. So these fractional ownership ideas, they are blowing up really big. And if you looked into them, you're going to see a lot of new trends. The Google era, what do I mean by that? The era of people needing it now. So one of the things that's so important about technology is it speeds up the process and it also gives you the ability to even systemize and automate. So the Google era means that if you're not quick, you're not going to get it. People are not okay with the idea of, okay, I'm going to wait a couple of days while this person digs up information. Even if it's just an immediate contact of, hey, we got your information, we're working on it, it's going to take this long, here's an update, that type of stuff. But the Google era means when you type it in, it should happen. It should immediately show up in the search query. And then the Uber approach. The Uber approach is much like the Google era, but this kind of takes the Google era and now it moved it from the Google era, which was I can get information at any given time and immediate. Now it's I can get a service anytime and immediate. So I can get food delivery to my house. I can get a car ride somewhere. I can get a real estate agent immediately through a click of a button. There are so many different places using this, but the Uber approach, as far as Uber approach compared to the way of, okay, I have to go through the slow, arduous process to get that same service done, means that people are willing to pay a little bit more or a little bit less, depending on the industry and knowing. So certain things like the convenience factor of like the taxis moving around like an Uber, they cost a little bit less. But other businesses go on a model where say a HelloFresh or any of these other type things where you press a button and they send you a meal and you get to make it. It's nice and easy. It's drop shipped. It's all these different things. You got to understand this Uber approach is getting everybody right. They can sell a tiny little bit of spice, a tiny little carrot, a tiny little piece of meat to people for more money than it costs in the supermarket, and they don't have to maintain a market. So they don't have to have a store. They've sent that out and they've also charged more. So these people have created phenomenal systems to grow money and to grow things. And a lot of other businesses are sitting back watching, saying, well, if that succeeds, I'll get into it. But the problem is by the time they realize it succeeded, it's already they succeeded versus succeeding. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Don't succeed, succeed. Okay. So the Great Awakening. What is the Great Awakening? Well, a lot of people argue all different things, but the truth is the world's changing right now, right in front of our face, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with it. Whether it be everything from finance being a little bit weird and money being weird to markets rallying in every which direction and to people closing stores and to people losing jobs, not just because of the pandemic, not just because of world's peace, not just because of any of these things. It's because we went through a revolution that wasn't paid attention to by a lot of people, and they are not awake to it yet. They're not educating themselves to what's going on, and they're thinking that everything is screwed up, but they don't understand why. And what it is the worker as we know it, the whole industrial era, the whole everything moved into a technology era, but not in a way that people were used to, as in like the computer was important, but more of like the business is running through the computer and people are able to do much more with much less. Everything from a Zillow to whoever that comes into play and now has valuations in there with the best in the world. There are companies that have been around for only a matter of years that are more valuable than something like an Exxon. So we are seeing a great awakening where there is a new era. And there's a lot of people that talk about the wealth gap and all these things. But if you look, Mark Zuckerberg is not an old man. He's not somebody who sucked up a bunch of money from everybody else. He made fast moves and he came from the bottom. He was a college kid who got it. So there is more opportunity than ever out there, but the opportunities are innovation. So you got to keep your mind creative. You got to stay up with technology, and you got to be awake to what's going on, or that information gap will happen to you. So questions to ask yourself: is my business still needed? This is a hard one. I have met a few people over the years that are in a business, and I look at them and I'm like, wow, why anyone be in that business anymore? No one uses that business. And where are those types of businesses going? And it's sad, but there's certain businesses that just don't have as much of a place in the marketplace. And mind you, you have to do your own market study. Mind you, you have to look at your own thing. And if you can create a niche, well, it's amazing that you can do it. And good, that's awesome. But things like back in the day when you went into a mall and you got calendars from a calendar store, hardly anyone uses calendars now that phones exist, as well as hardly anyone uses calendars from a calendar store because they go on Amazon and other things. So there's different companies. Do they have a niche if they find one where it works? Of course. But how about a travel agency? How are they doing it? Not doing too well because of the idea of TripAdvisor and Airbnb and all the ability to book direct through things and the fact that flights, right now they're super low. So it's really tough to exist in a marketplace like that. It's happened in every single business. It's just a matter of figuring out, is my business still needed? And if the answer is no, it's saying, where do I go from here? So the next couple of questions might help. Is the demand up or down? So in your industry, if you're in the travel industry, demand currently is flatlined because of the corona, but before that, demand was up. It's the travel agency's sales that were down. It was not demand. So that's why they needed to focus on the realignment. That's why they should have noticed, hey, we really need to be making technology products and selling through our customers to that. And I'm sure if there's, the last of the travel agents that are surviving, I'm sure it's the more technology-based ones that had already been using websites and booking at low deals and all that stuff and putting great packages together. And also, it might just be they created a great relationship business, because relationships can be a business that helps as well. Is there a pivotal shift needed? So after asking these questions, you say to yourself, okay, if I'm in the wrong lane, like I just said, do I need to make that shift? Am I supposed to go to technology? Am I supposed to go to, okay, everybody normally did this screen printing one thing at a time. I know I love my screen printing business, but would I be better off to go on a website like foreignprint.com, negotiate a great deal with them, send them my designs, have them do all that, and me focus on sales. It's always change, right? We can argue, oh my God, I would love all the small business to stick around and all this stuff, but we're arguing a mute point. Small business will always be here. It's just we're always where small business exists. No matter what industry comes out, when it emerges as an emerging marketplace, there'll be a ton of players in the game. The longer it exists, the less players in the game because they're able to swallow them all up. The more you need to work for them. But that's why people have always changed. We went from agrarian people all the way up to people who now don't have to worry about food, shelter, all that. Well, the majority of us that are listening on YouTube don't have to worry about that. And the reason we don't have to worry about that is we're human and we created fire and we can do all this great stuff. So knowing the pivotal shifts, we've always shifted, change is constant. So taking the opportunity to see that. And then do I see opportunities to be overtaken? So kind of not, I always like you to look out the windshield versus the rear view mirror. Where am I going? Not where am I running from? But one reason you want to look at least in the side view mirrors is because you want to make sure, are there businesses creeping up on me? Are there places that I have to watch out for? This new competitor just moved in town. My sales dropped by 15%. They seem to be sticking over there. I don't see them coming back. This person normally comes in weekly. I drove by there. I saw that they were over at that other establishment. These are the questions we need to watch, and then we need to say to ourselves, why? We need to be honest. If you ever watch the shows like Kitchen Nightmares or any of these ones, one of the funniest things of the whole thing is person calls somebody like Gordon Ramsay or John Tafford or any of these guys out to their restaurant, have terrible food, and when they tell them it's terrible, they're like, no, it's great. And it's like, guys, it's not about you, right? When we paint our business a certain color, it isn't what we like, right? It doesn't matter. Paint your home that color. This is a business. We're here for our clients. Clients first. We need to think, how do we create the business for the clients? Because if I build it, they will come. If I paint a place the color I want and I make it some crazy color, are they going to come in? The question is, what business do I have and why? When would I paint it? We need to represent the business. It's similar to if a police officer showed up and tried to arrest you and he's in flip-flops, a t-shirt, and a bathing suit, you would want to see a badge hanging off his neck. Versus if he's in his uniform, you understand he's a police officer. So having your business well represented by looking like what it is absolutely crucial. Can I streamline? So this one, it hurts people's feelings often, but streamlining is everything right now. It's everything from outsourcing to speeding up processes to systemizing and automating. If you can't pay attention to it because you feel bad about the emotions in it, you have to start realizing your emotions are going to make you go broke. You can't sit there and be an emotional being in business. You have to be a practical, pragmatic, number-driven organization. You have to pay attention. I know sometimes we want to do things like, say, float somebody's salary for a while because the business will do better in the future, but sometimes we're not listening to the numbers. If demand is up and our numbers are down, we have to be worried. If demand's down, our numbers are down, and there's a known event, such as, okay, the pandemic, the last system, yeah, maybe you had to make a decision to hold somebody because you're doing well and then it just stopped. But a majority of them, people hold people even when they know because they don't want to tell them it's not going well. And that's another thing you see when you watch the Ramsey shows or Tafford. They're always on the borderline of growth and they don't tell any of their staff or anything and they don't demand the respect or command the respect or build and kind of grow the relationship and respect that they deserve as the business owner. And the employees don't even mean in a mean way, they just don't know. So streamlining is important, but if you're not willing to face it the day one, it always gets tougher in the future. So beyond 2021, what's going to be going on? So number one, nothing is guaranteed, right? I don't say this to just null and void everything other people say or what I say here. It's just the idea of we are in a very unique year, a unique marketplace as far as we have a presidential change, we have a pandemic, we have a great awakening and realignment of economies. So we have a lot going on at once. Nothing's guaranteed in that aspect. But I want you to remember, we are moving towards what they're calling a world without oil. Now, if you're not aware of what oil is used in, you can pretty much answer you everything because everything we do is oil based when it comes to planes, cars, trains, they all move it. Plastics are made from it. Heat, all these different things, energy come from it. So the realignment of that is going to change a lot of industries. It's not a bad thing, but if you're in an industry that is heavily oil reliant and you need to look into how you rely on oil, every single company, here at a real estate company, I'm paying for electricity, right? I'm also driving to and from places, so our car costs will change. How much is it going to take? How much time is it going to take? How are these new things going to work? So I have to stay aware of that, not freak out about it, not talk about how bad it'll be, not talk about how good it'll be. I have to actually be aware of it and pay attention to it. More freelance working. So if there's one thing I know, specialized jobs are everything, right? You get the right person for the right job, they can do it. With a computer tech world, so many software, so many things, there are a zillion different professionals out there. The problem is some of them have such a unique job that they wouldn't have enough to do, but it's so complicated that that's what they do. So they work for a lot of different people, providing their services for very little money compared to how much it's worth. But because they do it lots and lots of times, they make a lot of money by being a freelancer. Or some, because they're so unique, are able to even charge more money by working for themselves because they actually have some unique skills. Really important to remember that freelancers are in all levels, from photographers to writers to computer tech people to a person who wants to come and do an oil change for you in the driveway. There are things coming that are going to be changing everything when it comes to freelance, and then people need to be aware and realize that as a business owner, there's a lot of expenses to paying health insurance and all these other things for an employee that you only need some of the time. And the freelance, even sometimes when it costs more money, can actually save you money. Robotics. This one here, people think of robotics right now and they think about the silly little thing that drives around Stop and Shop and identifies a spill. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about advanced robotics. We're talking about everything from factory line workers to all of the different jobs that are physical, to lawn mowers, to whatever. Automation, robotics, they're all coming together and able to do so many different jobs. So when you're looking as a company, you're developing a new lab, you're making a new growth where you're putting in a new building, you really want to look at robotics as far as where are they now, where are they going in the future. And if I'm planning building my building, should I look into making sure that I make the rooms the size that the equipment that I'll need to succeed in the business that I'm doing is not for yesterday, but is for the future. Automation. Automation is a big thing. Automation is the ability to tell computers to do something in the future so that you don't have to do it. You don't have to remember it. It's everything from setting up a sales cycle and automatic emails going out to saying to certain people, certain roles to do different tasks. It can do calendar invites. It can do all sorts of things, but it also can create like everything from basically auto lathes, running AutoCAD programs, to everything. So automation is something that's expanding and expanding. And the more we learn to automate and use robotics to move, the more we learn to have this almost autonomous being, and the fact that the robot's doing the action, the automation's doing the thoughts. So this is just a growing world where these things are becoming very real, and you need to be paying attention to them. Systems. So for people back in the day that were working with pens and pads and no paper and stuff, it was a system. It's a system no different than any other system. I'm not going to knock it. But what I am going to tell you is it's not fast paced enough. It's not transparent enough. It's not easy enough to collaborate with for the modern day work environment. It's also not as good at reminding you to do things as a computer is. So getting into systems, making sure you systematize your whole business. It's not just computer systems. It's not just writing things down. It's systems as far as telling people, this is how we do this. Step one, step two, step three. Also be aware of caution, danger. Here's the different things you need to know when you're doing it. Here's the tools that will be needed for the job. Setting up systems to help people find success is so crucial 2021 forward, because more of us are going to be working for less than ever, which means we're going to need to do more than ever to create more than ever. So we need to learn to do what we're doing now faster, more efficient. So even though the price to do it will slowly creep down right now, we're able to do it at a level that's high performing. And that's why, mom and pop stores always say, oh, well, Walmart. Remember, Walmart was born somewhere, right? It started from something. It started from the Walton store, right? So it wasn't a huge thing. Most businesses you see that you give credit to of, oh, it's easy for them, they're huge, were not huge the whole entire time. It's just like a baby, right? They're not born an adult. They have a long path between here and there, and they took a lot of work. The second that you start acknowledging that, you are one step closer to becoming massively successful because you gave yourself credit that you too could be where they are. Unfortunately, the mindset of, oh, it's easy for them, they're big, is a self admittance of, I don't think I can do it. So get out of that mindset and say, wow, I wonder how they got this big. I should look into their story. And if you do, you might be shocked because it wasn't easy. It was a whole journey. Every single business, no matter how easy you think it looks, there's always a background. So, final statement, getting up and running as COVID lockdowns go away is crucial. Do not sit back and wait. Get started today. Even small steps forward keep you moving in the right direction. I know a lot of people got kind of a little bit disturbed by COVID, whether it be their business completely shut down or their business just had lacking numbers or their business maybe did better. The thing is, coming out of COVID lockdowns, when it does happen, I know it's not tomorrow as of now, but when it does happen, we need to make sure we're ready to move. So it doesn't matter whether right now your business is shut down and it means that you're going over there and dusting the place once a week to keep the stuff nice, watering the plants, to you need to be working right now, you have to pay attention. I drive by so many businesses that it doesn't matter whether they left their chairs out or they left their umbrellas up or they left their like store closed and all the plants are dead when you look in the windows. Guys, I know it's tough out there. I know a lot of people got beat up by this, but you got to realize you own it. It's all yours. So if you let it all sink, it'll be very difficult to get back from it. But if you maintain what you got, you take time to learn systems and automation, you do what you're doing here, which is studying and learning how to be better, I can say you have a much better chance of being highly successful in the near future. So keep on doing what you're doing. Get out there. Have a great week. I really appreciate all of you. Here's the schedule for the weeks ahead here. We're in module 3, and we are on the first unit, which is my business bill for 2021. Next week, we're going to be doing what should I work on off season. So this is an important one about like a business. All businesses is seasonal. I know some people might say mine isn't. I will argue that difference next week. But overall, all those videos are available over there on YouTube. They're all available on recording as well as during the event. They're actually live. Feel free to leave comments, questions in the boxes. It's the different places you can follow me. So you have my personal accounts, my real estate brokerage, and Thought Company, which is my consulting company, which is producing this show right here. 2 podcasts. First one is Real Facts on Real Estate. It's for real estate professionals. It's mostly for agents that are wanting to learn to grow their business, not just, to learn to earn 6 figures, but to take it to that next level and to be a millionaire real estate agent and above and to continue working their way up to the top. Home ownerships for home buyers, sellers, and owners, everything from how to write an offer to why you want to clean your house before a showing. It gives information about best practices and ownership of homes. Last but not least, my name is Shawn Patrick Moloney. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, thanks to the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce for letting me put this on. If you guys want to check out my stuff, definitely do. If you are in a business and you're struggling to figure this out, please reach out to me. I'd love to help with my company, Thoughts Company. We do everything to do with startups, turnarounds, profitability studies, exit strategies. We're happy to help you with all of them. I know a lot of people are under duress right now on certain things. Reach out to me. Let's talk. It may not be too late. We may be able to jump back in there and get you firing off again. Thank you so much for joining me today and have a great week.